Hello, this is Dan McCarthy, the one of two people with Living in the Land podcast, and we're super excited to have Ted with us today, Ted Theophylactos, somebody that actually has sold a house for me personally, and that I have kind of known for a couple years now. I think I mean, probably been 7, 8 years now,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
every time we don't talk very often, but when we do, it's like we just pick up right where we left off. So anyway, I appreciate that about you. But Julie's not here today, so it's just going to be me asking you some questions. And Ted, I appreciate you again for being on this. But
Thank you.
um, yeah, for sure. I'll just get right to it. I mean, you've been doing this a really long time. Like, how long have you been in the industry?
I hate to date myself, but I was licensed in 1991.
Okay.
I practiced rentals in New York City, and then in 1998 I joined Howard Progressive Urban, and in 2008 I joined Howard Hanna, and I've been with them ever since.
Was Progressive, was that off of Euclid? They had that
It
like
was,
little brick building?
it's on Detroit. They're still
Or
there.
Detroit. Yeah, yeah,
Building.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They're right down the street from me, and they're dear. Dave Sharkey's still a dear friend.
Okay. So yeah, 91, yeah, I would have been 7 or 8 years
Yeah,
old.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
well, you just have way more experience.
We don't
Um,
talk about that.
okay. So, Cleveland as a whole, I mean, obviously this is Living in the Land. I mean, this is Cleveland-centric podcasts, and I know a lot of people that do listen to this and follow things like a Living in the Land centric, Cleveland centric podcasts or read certain things or transplants. But like, how has Cleveland changed over those 30 years? I mean, yes, it's been a lot, but how has Cleveland changed in your eyes? Because you're not that typical realtor that may have started in COVID, or there are a lot of new realtors,
Right.
especially when rates went down. And then in 2008 and 9, when the market shifted, um, there were a lot of realtors that started the game. So 30 years ago, um, it's like got to be a whole new world
Well,
now.
I reminisce often about the times when I started at Progressive Urban after I came back from New York in '98 and really started to spend, so much time learning about all the neighborhoods in the city of Cleveland, from, Lee Miles to Cam's Corner. And I just remember I had toured a house in Detroit Shoreway yesterday that was like needed a renovation. And it was a buddy of mine whose friend needed to sell, and just walking through there, I remembered about the horrific conditions. If I were to walk down Starkweather and just think about it 20 years ago, about how horrific some of these houses were and how gorgeous they look now, on a small, very micro local level, that's kind of one of the big changes. But overall, the changes, I mean, I always have been very passionate about community development. And I never thought I would see it grow to this point. I guess I didn't really know what the trajectory was going to be, in the long run. But being at Progressive Urban on Detroit, and now being in Hingetown on Detroit at Howard Hanna, and just the beautiful buildings that I don't like because they're not for sale, and they should be.
Right.
But just seeing, walking out of my office now versus walking out my office 20 years ago, what a difference. I could have never seen this happening. And what excites me so much is, um, you know, my dear friends that do real estate in all the suburbs, they don't really know how many out of towners move to Cleveland like I do and like we do in the
Yeah.
neighborhoods. And I take great pride in walking out of my office and seeing all the different license plates of the people who are moving to the apartment building that's above us. And but then when I talk to my friends in River or Beechwood or Shaker, um, they know a little bit about it, but they don't really know how many people we attract from the coasts, and how many people from Virginia or Texas or New Jersey or California or Oregon are, move to Cleveland, get an apartment, and then many decide to stay, and many of them decide to buy houses from us.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Because when we talk to Aaron Thomas, who's very investor centric,
Right.
um, and me specifically with just knowing some flippers and people that own a lot of doors, um, over a good 5 year period, or maybe even longer, since 2008 or nine, um, we always hear about investors from out of state buying rentals. So why do you think? And I guess it just kind of depends on the industry you're in, but why do you think people are moving to Cleveland to live, not just invest? I mean,
Um, Definitely cost of living, quality of
right,
life. I had a client that moved from South Florida to Cleveland recently that I've been talking to, and I have my own sister moved back from LA, and her family of her husband's family have all moved back to from LA. It's all about cost of living, I think,
yeah,
but amenities as well. Um, I think our amenities for the price of what it costs to live here are still such an attraction.
yeah. I know one of my best friends from college. Him and his wife moved to Cleveland Heights from Denver. Denver was
Right.
just getting so overpriced, and I don't think they regret it. I mean, we don't have those like deep conversations about like why they moved here. I mean, I think it's obvious why, but I mean, do you see anyone moving out or regretting their decision moving here?
I don't. I don't. Some of the sisters' relatives, they have children, so they have to go to the suburbs for the school district.
Yeah,
And I've had to spend a lot of time sharing the love and embrace of this one particular gal who
yeah,
lived in Southern California all her life and had some issues with the climate. But the last couple days, I'm like, did you hit this trail? Have you been out? Why don't you come down? It's constantly, why don't you grab my sister and come down to the city? Because
hmm,
if you're living in a little bubble out there off Richmond Road and Shaker Boulevard, you're not really going to get what everybody loves about our city. You got to be down here, in the
yeah,
in the neighborhoods.
yeah. Do you do you do you have some feeling? Because I have a feeling. I always talk about it when people ask me about Cleveland. Um, I have a feeling about. You're right. Downtown is obviously where it's at, but pre-COVID, I, there was like a buzz in Cleveland. Like we had a lot of momentum. I don't know what else to say it other than that. Like, did you feel the same thing? Do you think it'll come back? Not that it went away, but I mean, there's obviously there was just some like buzz or just some unmeasurable kind of feeling around Cleveland pre-COVID, and then all of a sudden it just kind of stopped.
I didn't feel it stop as much as I was fearful. I may have felt it. I think um, when they're getting to come across my desk, they're pretty vested and love it enough
Right.
to buy here.
Yeah.
So I didn't really feel too much of an impact, other than positive impacts, and sometimes positive impacts that, like increase in prices that, we struggle with that because that has its pluses and minuses in some respect for new buyers. But um, I never really felt the momentum uh, come down too much. And I still felt a lot of, again, the out of towners coming to Cleveland. Hey, I work remotely now. I don't have to pay for a rent in the five boroughs of New York, for example.
Right.
So I still feel that we're in a very good position from that. And then during the COVID years, up until the interest rates went up,
Yeah.
it was a period that I've never seen before in the near West neighborhoods, and just wonderful.
It was crazy. I mean, the interest rates, but also the tax abatement. I mean, would you
Right.
say that the tax abatement's a pretty massive draw, at least for a
Absolutely.
while?
Absolutely. And it is, I just finished and closed out 25 units at Battery Park, and the diversity in the clientele, uh older couple with kids who are in college were purchasers, the typical first time buyer, right out of, right out of college kind of first job buyers. But, a couple of those clients coming from Shaker Heights and Cleveland Heights for the tax abatement, love living there now, very, very happy with their purchase. But the tax abatement is a massive incentive still. However, as you are aware of, and I can explain this a little bit more, any new project that I have coming out of the gate right now forward is going to have a different tax abatement. And again, I can explain the details on.
Yeah, can you? Because I know there's a change. Something with 350,000. I don't know.
Well, right now I have 3 or 4 fabulous projects on the market. I have the Guardian condominiums in downtown Cleveland. It's the 15th and 17th floor above the Marble Room Steakhouse.
Oh, wow.
We only have 3 units left. They have a full 15-year tax abatement, which is 100% of the improved amount. And then I have my Vantage townhomes that I just launched in Detroit Shoreway, which are wonderful. I can somehow maybe post in the comments when you post the video on my websites. I have the Equinox North Park Place in University Circle and Edgewater South. So I will talk more about those, but all of those projects I mentioned had their permits pulled and got through their design review processes prior to January 1st of 2024. Now, when my new projects come out, it's going to be a different tax abatement. What does that mean? Everything before January 1st is 100% on the improved value, so you're only paying taxes on land. Talking about our friends over at Battery Park that moved here from Cleveland Heights, for example, their taxes are going to be about $1,800 to $2,300 a year with the old abatement. Now, the new abatement going forward, the city has created 3 zones. There's the yellow zone, the green zone, and the third one I think is blue, light blue. And Ohio City, Detroit, Shoreway, Tremont, downtown, University Circle are in the first zone. And for that area, the tax abatement will be you will have 85% tax abatement on the first $350,000 of what you pay for the new home, but the rest is regular taxes. Right. So that $2,000 a month is now going to be, more like $6,000 a month.
Okay.
So it's different. Now, if you go into the blue zone, which I live in, which is South Hills, I can see Tremont from my backyard.
Right.
We're in a different zone here in South Hills, and you go. It's up the first $400,000 are abated.
Okay.
And then if you go into the yellow zone, the third zone, that's the areas where there's been very little investment and redevelopment. Then you can go up to the first 450,000 are abated, and it's up to 90. It's 90% of the taxes. So
it's still
it's back a little bit, but it's still a huge savings.
It's still robust. I mean, every one of those townhomes in Tremont that I was in the middle of,
right? They were all the abatement was done on all of them.
All in the 3 years that I lived there.
Yeah,
they all sold. I mean, they went from $2,600 a year in taxes all the way to 13, 14. At the time. I mean, that's still a robust.
Definitely, and and after the abatements in that particular neighborhood and many others, it was a successful tool because we're still selling those non-abated houses that the abatement expired 5 years ago in Tremont and other parts of the neighborhoods. They're still selling at a great cost per square foot. They're like still $250, $260 per square foot versus where our new ones with abatement are around $310, $320-ish right now. But that's a real moving target.
How did you get into the builders or the developer space?
I mean, I started with a regular traditional real estate career, which I really had a great time doing the regular resales, and I built some really great, amazing relationships because then I used to get the new couples would buy the houses, and the couples that had the children would sell their houses, and I would assist them in getting into a school district back in the day. And I just built some great relationships with my friends out in the suburbs, and that pays off till now. and even more so now. But what I was approached, I had worked with Progressive Urban, who the owners of Progressive Urban, Keith and Dave, also had a partnership in Civic Builders, which I loved. And I loved working with them. So I always had a good connection with the construction. But then about 11, 12 years ago, I decided to represent my first project.
Hmm.
And then it kind of just
Snowballed.
got more. And then
Yeah.
I had more. And then I really ended up creating this boutique experience here with Ted and Co., where I have a very skilled set of buyer's agents that kind of do a lot of the listing and selling, and I do heavy new construction as far as, like I said, the 25 units I just sold out of Battery, the Guardian, the Equinox, the Vantage, all these other projects, and then the sold out projects like Breakwater Bluff, Cyan Park, Tremont North, Tremont Black. um, it's just been a really, really great run, and I love it as a niche. I really do love it.
Yeah, and you said boutique because I know you you're obviously full service and super involved, but you also have like um a design aspect to what you guys do too, right? I mean that when I say full
Right.
service, I mean you've got yeah, I mean you're obviously experienced, but you've got um
An
other people
amazing
helping out
team.
with other things,
Yeah,
not just
let
the
me
selling.
just touch on that too, because during the pandemic, when the first layoffs started, my good friend who was with Brickhouse, then Knez, Dorit Sadie, she's on the team. She's on the team and does design and selection services for developers.
Hmm.
And you've met her, I think, at one point, Dorit.
Or I don't think I've talked to her, but yeah, I think
Uh,
she might have went over to the project. Yeah.
yeah, right, right. So, we have the uh, just a really, really good circle of whether it's a new developer who wants to do a project and they need an architect, uh, rendering creation, consulting as far as what you would need to have as standard in a home in the city based on your price point, the
Yeah.
design services, both from a selection standpoint for a developer or from having a designer for a buyer who needs help picking selections, to complete web design creation, rendering creation with Isabella from that's our marketing and website manager. So yeah, we have all kinds of this for this boutique for developers, but also just for if you
For
want to
anyone.
your
Yeah.
townhome in Edgewater, you want to sell your townhome, it translates as well.
Yeah, and I mean I think that's kind of important. I mean, you've built that team. I mean, it's it's just another type of service other than just like, hey, let's just put the bedrooms, bathrooms into a
Right,
website and
right.
hope they get to people.
And it is a whole different experience. And that's why,
Yeah.
you said Erin had been here prior, and her
Yeah.
investor crowd, like I don't have a real good handle on that, like what she is,
Yeah, right.
because I'm in this, and vice versa. But
Yeah.
it's really there's just a very small group of us agents in the city where there's so much development and who have this, and I guess people don't like it because there's so few of us. Um, but then also we've also spawned like a gorgeous project we closed out just late last year, College Club in Cleveland Heights at the top of the hill.
Yeah.
A gorgeous project there, and then I've kind of worked with Kim Crane and Jen Davis, just kind of talked to them over the years, and then they picked it up and started doing it out in like Westlake, Rocky River. And again, we're a small community who do this, and there's only about 4 groups in Howard Hanna in the Cleveland market
Yeah.
that kind of do this, and I'm thrilled and proud to be one of them.
What's your favorite neighborhood?
I because my office is in Hingetown right now, and I kind of have been gravitating there socially too,
Yeah.
like Hangar Bar, and I love the jukebox, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Aaliyah, the restaurant, and I really kind of embrace, and I don't know if it's because it's so new, and I've been in Cleveland so long that I
Yeah.
like the new. So that's my favorite as far as the housing stock. Your property on Clinton is over there too, you know, and
Yeah.
it's
I'll
just
hold I'll
such
hold off
a
I'll
place
hold
to
off my
be.
opinion. I'll hold off my opinion, but
Well, I
no,
know,
no, 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 no.
I
No,
agree.
no,
I,
I love that area. I
yeah,
mean, I went to Ignatius and
yeah,
just that whole the Hinge Town, the just Ohio City as a whole. It just, I mean, I would
yeah.
walk from Ignatius to the Rapid every day, and that was 20 years ago, and like it's just so different, and it is cool to see. There's no doubt
Right.
about it.
But it's like the historic, one of our hottest locations and our
Yeah,
highest end locations in the neighborhoods is Duck Island and historic Clinton
yeah,
Avenue. And just beautiful houses, diversity in housing.
yeah,
That's my favorite from that standpoint. But I have a ton of other favorites,
yeah,
other reasons, and a lot of areas. You know, I love South Vermilion because it's so quiet and affordable, and I love where I live
yeah,
because it's got everything in a couple minute drive. South Hills, but I have
yep.
like almost an acre of land and a ravine and a stream back there. I'm looking at right
I love it.
now. So I have all these different weird
No,
hangups on what I love.
yeah, no, I gotcha. But I mean, you work there, so you even said you integrated yourself in the community, and that's one of the questions that me and Julie actually get from out of towners that do move here. Uh, if we were out of towners or we were transplants, Julie's actually a transplant from Buffalo, but like,
Oh no way!
what would you do, socially, or how would you maybe integrate yourself into Cleveland? Because sometimes Clevelanders, everyone says we're super nice. Like that's like the common denominator is we sound super. We're super nice. Got that Midwest manners, what have you. But
Right.
um, there's also a lot of silos, right? Like I don't know how I got in. My wife is not from Hudson, but somehow she's in this like Hudson crew, and it's like super hard. Like
Oh
I'm
yeah.
just saying, like clicks, right? I mean, we live right. We're in Chagrin Falls every single day, and like Chagrin Falls is kind of like a little click. But
Right.
if you're an out of stater or an out of towner and you come to Cleveland, like what would you get involved in, or to get yourself out there and meet people?
Well, my first thing would be, which has always been a big thing, is the homeowners at Battery are kind of in a group of them, in a class of their own as far as how they all intermingle with each other.
Okay.
And I really do, if I'm selling, I'm like, maybe, heavily consider Battery because, you got a dog, take your dog on a walk, you're going to meet
Right.
people.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've been to weddings of clients who've met at Battery, and there's other on a small scale. This happens at the 8 unit townhome projects and the 12 unit projects as well. But Battery is 200 units, so
Yeah. Yeah.
we have they have. There's just so many things. Get a good if you like to do CrossFit. We have such wonderful
Yeah.
facilities.
We
If
really do.
join the rowing club, that's
Yeah.
such a very popular place. I mean, I probably wouldn't do it now, but you
No, but
know,
you go row, meet people, go to Hooples,
right.
and
And
yeah,
then,
yeah,
but that Battery thing about how those people kind of all like, there's a bigger social element to buying there that's very important, like the tax abatement,
yeah,
because so many people have just their social lives have just really been wonderful experiences
yeah,
there because it's close knit. They have a very active web board about, hey, we're doing this, and they used to have, I think, dinner parties every couple weeks or whatnot. I mean, there's a lot of great things as far as that's concerned, but you got to be out and about, and that's why you got to be, I think, in the hub of the city to really fully embrace and fall in love.
yeah.
And,
But
and,
like,
and Lakewood and River fall into that too. But you
yeah,
go outside of that a little bit, and we that kind of vibe changes.
yeah. Well, like I get it. Like Battery Park, it's almost like you can't even live there without being social. I mean,
Right.
they almost like force it on you, and it's. I
Yeah,
mean, I kind of.
totally.
Yeah.
It's a good thing
Um.
because people have a ball that live there. And then they get to I mean, they walk to the beach, they walk to
Yeah.
the park, they walk to the yacht clubs. So
You know. as a
those
suburban,
lifestyles are great, and then Chagrin Falls falls into that too. But it's a
yeah,
different
totally different.
socioeconomic situation, maybe.
Yeah,
But it all comes down to walkability. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I think that has. But there's just so many, I think, like people, like a lot of the people who, the empty nester crowd at Battery and the other communities near West Side, and of course, the young people starting out. Like, there's just a lot of commonality between them all, but they have great things to do and hang out.
Well, the one thing downtown hasn't really jumped on the train yet of the suburbs is pickleball. I mean, I can't even go a mile down the street without hearing about pickleball out here.
I know, I know. That's,
Anyway,
yeah, that
just an
too.
observation.
Mention that. How could I
Yeah,
forget?
just an observation.
Yeah, you're
Um,
absolutely
all
right.
right. So no, I wanted to ask you too about like up and coming areas because I years ago, me and somebody you're very familiar with, I don't know if he wants me to say his name, but I'll say no. But we were with a developer from out of town, and
Right,
he's doing massive projects. I mean, we're talking like commercial developments on scales of money that I probably could never even fathom. But
right,
when we were asking him about next up and coming places or what he's looking for in certain cities or even within certain cities, how do you pinpoint areas? And it struck me as really strange when he said, you know, when we're sitting around a table, one of the first questions we ask is, where's the LGBT community going? Like, where are they?
right,
And let's start um, investigating those areas.
right, right,
And I bring him up because that's a very just a dollars and cents decision, right? Like there's
right.
no preconceived notions or judgments. It's really just about money. Why do you think that is? Or do you think that is there something behind that?
Well, I think there's a two-part discussion here. Of course, the up and coming areas, which I would totally want to talk about with you,
Yeah, yeah,
and then the LGBTQ community as well. And I am like living this like firsthand when I go to Columbus and in Cleveland. Um, we started off with our conversation about great. Uh, it's so great to have all these people moving out of state.
yeah.
I'd like to see us capture a little bit more of that LGBTQ dollar and
Like from out of state.
from out of state
Yeah, yeah,
because um, we have all the great elements of everybody moving in. I just don't think we have enough of that, and I don't know the answer, but that's what we need to
right.
work on. So, real quick, just as far as Columbus, with Red Sky, I
Yeah,
don't know how familiar you are with Columbus,
yeah. I'm familiar,
but
but
like
maybe people
Fort
aren't. Yeah,
North was it. That was the gays started that community like years ago, and it's funny because my uncle started the Greek church right there, and the Greeks were
yeah,
right there too. But anyway,
yeah,
but now when I go down, I see with like the Marion Village, which is south of German Village, and how
yep,
that has become the hub. I just think they have a little different population scenario with the LGBTQ community. It's the big draw city for that community in Ohio, but
yeah,
in Cleveland, we don't have as much of that force. Um, so my observations lately have been, it used to be very years ago. It used to be a lot of Lakewood and Clifton, Clifton Baltic Edgewater area,
yeah,
and it
yep.
still
Edgewater.
is. It definitely still is. But what I've really appreciated and loved because of my sense of style has been, the guys who I know who have built, brand new homes in Detroit Shoreway, historic Clinton, Duck Island, and everywhere. Because man, we have some stunners, and those
We do.
are very, very high end homes, and some of them on Clinton Avenue too.
Oh God,
There's
yeah.
like those guys in that brick house. I love that place.
Place. I mean, it's great.
It's like a
Yeah,
$1.3 million house. However, but that doesn't answer our question for our out of town investor friend.
yeah,
Um, so I agree with that, and I see it firsthand when I'm visiting the Columbus area, based on what I just said about Marion Village. But as far as for here, I know my up and coming areas that I would feel very strongly to tell an investor to invest in, or an owner occupant to invest to buy in. But I don't think that's the synergy with the LGBTQ community is definitely is as much a driving part of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But I also wouldn't want to like if you were to ask the LGBT community like, "Hey, where do you guys hang out?" It's like,
Right.
why do you want to know?
Well,
Like I don't know. Does that make sense?
the thing is we're it's such a great community here, the LGBTQ community here in
It is.
Cleveland. We're so assimilated. Like
Yeah.
we're, like Rob from my team, who also is a designer who works with our builders and whatnot. You know, he's younger than me, of course, and he is at all the greatest places to hang out in the city, and they're not quote unquote like the gay bars and whatnot. To where in other cities, people will gravitate maybe to a more bar centric community, but we're
Yeah.
so assimilated here in Cleveland. I think again, um, we're all like it's collectively everybody going to looking for affordable housing options in the next neighborhood, for example. uh, we're more assimilated here. We're just part of the group.
Yeah. But do you think if there was more of a focus on getting that community to move to Cleveland,
Yeah.
there would be other areas that would there be areas that pop up, or would those assimilated neighborhoods just get more people? You know,
Uh,
like
you know,
is there more room in Lakewood or shore or the Shoreway?
well, we have one of the most a really innovative at 116th and Madison. We have a really innovative um, LGBTQ elderly population housing thing that is kind of the benchmark for the country.
Okay.
I forgot the name of that complex, and it's rentals, but also
Yeah.
with Studio 117, which is a new complex over on 118th in Detroit. That is where I think if it's going to happen, it's going to be right around there because that is a really, I mean, again, pickleball. They have
Like
pickleball
to
courts
Birdtown or
to Birdtown and north of there on the far
okay.
east side of Lakewood. I really see that as kind of a great place to see some, maybe renovations, people picking up houses in that area, in that community, because there's such a social force with Studio 117. It's not just a restaurant, it's not just a bar,
Yeah.
it's a gymnasium, and they have, again, the pickleball, but all kinds of other events there. And it's
It
really a
truly
community
is. It's a
hub.
community center. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another really innovative thing that got a lot of press nationally because it was a place for people to go and interact and feel comfortable. So we've had some really great things here in Cleveland.
Do you think that the community feels comfortable outside of those areas?
Definitely in
Yeah.
the neighborhoods. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's like in Brunswick or
Yeah.
um,
Madison.
well,
Yeah. Like I don't know.
I don't know what that's like.
Right. Yeah. Right.
As far as our neighborhoods, yeah, downtown, our neighborhoods, the Heights, River, Westlake, Shaker, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like always thinking of those next up and coming neighborhoods, and it's like, that same person was like, well, we really like Slavic Village, and we're talking 8 years later, and I
Right.
don't know, or Asian Town, which
Yeah,
I personally love, but like
I
there
love
really is,
exploring over there.
yeah, it's like, but do people go there for more than just food, and part
Right.
part of me says no, but maybe I'm just naive to it. I don't know.
Well, going back to the beginning of our conversation about the growth in Cleveland, it took us so long to get a foothold. For us to get people to move to the neighborhoods going back 20 years ago and
Yeah,
10 years ago. That's why that kind of helps me explain why I'm so blown away by the progress we've made is because our pace of um, you know, taking a vacant lot and putting a home on it, or taking a blighted abandoned building and having it restored to some apartments and some storefronts with some businesses in them. It was an extremely slow process.
very.
And when you compare it to Chicago and like I see it in South Florida, man,
Oh well,
they can do they
it's
can
crazy.
do things there like at the speed of light to and there's a lot of political. stuff
Yeah.
from that. I don't want to,
No, I got it. That's for another
that's
conversation.
another conversation, but
Yeah.
it was always a very, very slow pace. So yeah, I had hoped for a little bit more development.
You can't even get permits online. I mean, you can, but it's never not you'll end up walking into the building. But
Yeah,
yeah, it has been slow, but like, do you think that's up to the city too to help with? Because, you know, we're on social media and we're seeing people from Cleveland tout Cleveland being always at the top of the list, like, oh, best place to own a home, or best place to, no, most affordable places with the best. We're always on those lists. I mean,
right,
it doesn't
right,
even matter what the list is, we're on it. And
absolutely.
like, is that something that um, the city's sharing? Is that something that we're not sharing enough? Is that something that, is it true? I mean, I know it's true, or you might know it's true, but like, is that something that developers, um, large property owners, and the city need to do a better job at promoting?
I had a lot of these conversations more before the spike in construction costs post COVID.
Yeah,
But the truth still kind of stays the same as far as I have a smaller pool of people that can do anything with construction because of the cost of construction.
yeah,
It's just so expensive, and I don't know when that's going to change, but it's very hard. However, um, I would love it if we had a little bit quicker process and we didn't turn off some builders over the years with the frustrations that it took to get from vision to permits or
yeah,
vision to build out.
yeah,
And we talk about it a little bit less because again, I don't have as big of a pool
yeah,
of builders, but my answer is yes. I wish we could expedite things because
yeah,
a lot of times these scenarios are a little bit more. You got to strike when the iron's hot, and our system, as far as design approvals, block clubs, and whatnot, is not very conducive to that. And in the age of technology, there's got to be better ways, in my opinion.
You don't say the block clubs hold things up. No way.
No, I'm saying that
No,
the
I know. I know.
time
No,
frame
I know.
are,
Yeah.
like, can we come up with an innovative way to have people maybe vote on it? They can review it not at that once a month meeting, but
Yeah.
maybe in more real time, because I'm sure all the people that live there would love that.
They
I
they they
would.
have that they have that on they do have something online where you can go and vote on stuff. Um but it's really there so that people can see it before they bring it to the block club, and
Right,
it just has become,
right.
it honestly has just become a social media chat room of people hating it or loving it, and then
Yeah,
it just becomes that
we are
that
a
political thing.
crowd.
We are.
Right,
But
and
yeah, I
I
think,
agree because I get some of those for some updates.
yeah,
I didn't. I don't know if I wasn't linked to the vote part.
yeah.
I didn't know we could vote on it there, but
I don't, or yeah, I think it was just more of like a,
yeah,
kind of like this, or I,
and that's just
yeah,
one
yeah.
small portion of
Right, right.
the approval processes, and I love all the talented people that we have
Oh, yeah.
at the Board of Zoning Appeals and a design review. It's not about
Landmarks.
that. It's about
Yeah,
timing. It's about
yeah,
how long it takes.
yeah, yeah.
So,
No,
and I,
your Florida example is so true though. Like, it's just slow, and you go to these other, I'll go to a city that I haven't been to in 2 years, and I can't even recognize it.
well,
But
and I
it's
just
just,
I don't know how they do things, but that's again, it's a conversation for a different day because
yeah,
where did all the people go that were there before? I mean, it's
I
crazy.
know.
I'm
Yeah,
like this whole. I'm talking about Fort Lauderdale, for example, is the one I'm talking about now. Neighborhoods have just popped up in the
yep,
last 8 to 10 years. That I mean, it's not like they were in bad neighborhoods, but there was just nothing, literally nothing there, but some older houses.
yeah. Well,
So
slowly but surely these older houses
yeah,
here
I just love
becoming
seeing
beautiful.
how
Yeah.
like the new, and I don't know how to, the place across from over there by the Happy Dog, that new apartment building. I don't know how to. I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I love how we're connecting now Gordon Square from Ohio City with that beautiful. That building is gorgeous. Should be condo. And you
Yeah,
always hear me say it should be kind of, not all of them, but some
not
of them.
yeah, no, I know. And
um,
that building, obviously it's a beautiful building and a great location. My wife and I are very displeased about Ming'an leaving. We did go there the
oh,
final night
yeah.
it was open, but that's all
Oh,
right.
you did?
Um, we did. That
Yeah.
was our place. Even when we lived in Tremont, Lakewood, before Tremont, we'd go to Ming'an at least once a week, and that was our place. People would be like,
Oh,
"Why don't you just go to Thai Fun?" It's like, no, we don't want it. Just
different vibes. Yeah.
Ming on. Yeah. So anyway,
But I'm
um,
seeing the connectivity now between
yeah,
the two
yeah,
neighborhoods. And of course, out of towners, we are the benchmark for parks and trails in Cleveland, which I'm
we
so
are.
proud of. And like I said, my sister used to live in LA, and I went on a hike with her once, and I was like, "What the hell?" Like,
They're even extending the tow. They have a tow path here going from 91 through the metro parks behind me, a couple hundred yards. And it's connecting 91, and it'll drop you off at the falls in Chagrin.
you're kidding. I didn't even know about
No,
this one.
yeah, it's great. I mean, some people hate it, but some people absolutely love it. And I mean, you'll always have people that
Wow, I have
agree
to look that
disagree.
up. What's the
Yeah,
name of it? Do they have a name of it?
it's like Solon. You'd find it. It's
I'll find it. Yeah.
Solon Chagrin towpath. But yeah, it goes through like the metro parks in Solon, or like created metro parks in Solon, through Bentleyville, through Chagrin, and then drop you off right at the right there. So be kind of cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean that's
Um,
just so incredible.
but
Um,
it's going on everywhere. It's not. Yeah, it's just not here.
yeah, I mean I love
Um,
these ones, that go down through the flats and then through you know the one. There's one that you catch over by the rapid and it takes you over to West 41st Street. I mean, it is a
is
history
that the
lesson.
green? Yeah, like the
Yeah,
green
that
something.
one is a whole other experience to see parts of the
Yes.
city you've never seen. So much
Right.
stuff to do, but wanted to just touch on that up and coming areas too, because like Lower Lake Avenue is like my obsession now.
What is it?
Lower Lake Avenue is between Don's Lighthouse, which is Lake Avenue,
Yeah. Yeah.
and West 74th, where Battery Park starts.
There's a. I was gonna
That
say there's.
area is I'm so obsessed with that area because we have so much vacant land. We have
Mhm.
some housing stock that has just been totally beat to shit over years that would be so nice fixed up, and a lot of it's vacant retail that
Yep.
nobody has touched in long times. That's a big area, and of course, not to give a shout out to my home neighborhood, but Old Brooklyn, the Broadview and Pearl area of Old
I love old
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
We had a new
Yeah.
little place opened up here, a little bar kind of thing. It's called Dive Bar. It's really nice. Old Brooklyn is just such a value and a bang for the buck.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it's still that it's just an older neighborhood. I mean, I don't know if many people have ever been to Old Brooklyn. I mean,
I know.
I have. I had family in there like, you know, 30, 40 years ago, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just
Who did it?
no, yeah, like nobody goes there, but yeah, you're right.
I'll tell you though, it's kind of a big community, and we have to kind of. I work with community development people as well, and we've got to kind of define it a little bit better because it's big.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
at 176 in Spring, and our neighborhood goes all the way to like 58th Street in Memphis. That's a long, long, far away place from where I'm at.
Yeah.
We need to
Yeah.
define it better. But I truly love it, and I think that's a great area as well.
I will note those. I hope our viewers are also noting those. But last thing, I just want to thank you again for